whacking them in. Just about got that one in. That one I haven't done. These other two, they're done. We've got to get struts, which is basically a star picket on an angle, and say that the line's going to go through here, and another one obviously back that way. So you put your strut right in the middle, like at a 45-degree sort of thing. But I'll have to do that later. Haven't quite finished yet. I'm doing it the old style method where you pack the dirt back in using the big end of the crowbar. You're supposed to throw it in about 5 times. I'm only going to throw it in about 3 times. That's 2 times already. I'm going to move some more on top and jam that down, and that should be about it for this one. This is alright because this side's like clay on this side, but over there it's more sand, and I've done that one, and oh shit. You're hammering it down as you're going like bang, bang, bang. The sand's just puffing like the other way. So then you fall on it and it just sort of keeps just puffing around. You can't really compact sand very easily because it's so bloody soft, which makes it fantastic for growing plants, but it makes a shit ass for trying to pack it back in. Whereas when you've got clay, it's very easy to pack in when it's little kibbles like this. And when you slam into them, they go back nice and dense. The sand, yeah, not so much. But having said that, sand is the best for drainage, which means it's good for growing plants. So we've got the right area, even if it isn't the easiest to put the sand back in the hole. Anyway, at some point, maybe in the winter, maybe in the spring, I've got to remove a few rocks. But I'm seriously thinking down here, pumpkins, because, you know, we've got our IBCs there, and you can see them brilliantly from the road. I've still got to get those perfectly level. Some of them are sort of sitting and they're sort of rocking a little bit, so I've got to sort of pack dirt under some of the sides and that. They're all actually tied together with rope at the moment, just because the winds have been a little bit hard, and I worked out if you tied them all together, none of them are going to go over. But yeah, so I reckon pumpkins will be the go. Planted more over this side, and hopefully I can trail them back towards this way, or at least planted where that rock is, that side of that rock, or probably that side of those rocks, and then yeah, trail them this way. And, I want to, you know, be able to have a few plants or whatever, and pretty much be able to set up the water line to water them all, but only have to walk down to where the IBCs are, turn a tap on there, and all these get watered down here. So I don't have to climb down that extra part. That's the steepest part of the place, and it's full of bloody rabbit holes, and I thought they were all abandoned, and it seems one of them has been reactivated because there's all fresh dirt around there, but Tabby Cat will take care of that in due course. Black Kitty got rid of a damn collar too, so I don't know where the hell that went. Tabby Cat's still got his, and she's had hers for about 2 days, and come in this morning and nothing. So sure as eggs, I'll find the bloody thing somewhere around here. Probably in amongst the box thorns or something out the front of my house. But anyway, I'm going to go back and have a bit of lunch, probably crank, I don't know if I'll crank up the wood stove if it's even worth it, but I've got to go somewhere tonight, but I've got to go eat something now anyway. Look at these bloody sheep get up to. Right through there is a fig tree. What's this here? Broken off with a bloody fig on the end. Bastards wrecking all me shit. Ah, they shit you sometimes, these sheep, but the poor bastards, they've got nothing to eat. Look at it, like, what are they going to eat there, you know? Bit of plastic bag. Anyway, we got a lousy amount of rain yesterday. As I was saying before, it was, oh God, it was hopeless. What they got in the city compared to what we got out here was just crap. There's plenty of water in the city. Even the capital got 22 mil, which is, well, in between 3/4 of an inch and a full inch a while back, and we got like, you know, 1 mil, which is just not much at all. as you can tell, because all the ground is all just sort of, yeah, not sort of muddy or anything like that. It's not even held together. It looks like they're getting and biting in all the bloomin' lower shoots. That's just fantastic. Bastards. Anyway, we ain't feeding any grain out, and we don't have any grain to feed out, and right about now, any of that sort of market is flogged to death anyway. And everybody's just waiting for the inevitable rain. If you wonder about all the plastic bags here, there's no point even trying. They are so many of them, and just so uncontrollably large amounts to just keep coming out of the soil. That's a waste of time even trying to fight them. I wish there was some way to get rid of them. I've almost thought about just going over the entire area around this house with a blowtorch and trying to melt them off, but it'd only melt off all the ones in the surface. So, yeah, wouldn't sort of solve the problem, because sure as eggs, next summer that'll all be back again. It's all the white you can see. It's the Madeira vine sprouting. You'd be surprised that even under dry conditions, this thing here still has green leaves. And for somebody who thought that I had absolutely no food at all when it comes to anything bad occurring, well, you know, substitute goji berries, and these things are still green when the entire joint is just without any grass. This stuff is still fine. And, you know, it's not as good as it is in the winter, but it's still surprisingly green. And of course, when the rain started, it'll get even better. And as for the air tubers, if I was to take all this box thorn with a tractor, which may be happening in a year or two, I'm serious, like I had said, I won't do it until I build a new house, but I'm seriously thinking, if it's $1,000 with crappy steel to replace the roof of this house, it can't be much more to use less steel of a thicker gauge to build a bloody 8-foot fence around this place. And that might happen, and when that happens, well, before that happens, we'll get rid of all this crap. But if I was to get rid of this crap, I can dig basically under this whole patch here, and I will dig out a whole stack of these type of things that are under the ground. The ones above the ground like this, they're facing sunlight, they're gone green, they're shit. You can't eat them, just like you can't eat green potatoes. But the ones under the ground, however, are fine. They are thick-skinned, but they are fine to eat. And you just put them in alfoil in the wood heater, and there you go. These ones are looking a bit drab because I think they're dehydrating a bit. But there's another big cluster string down here, as you can obviously see, follows right back into the box thorn. There's shitloads. Now, if it's like this above the surface, I don't think it's going to be much worse underneath the ground. And one thing for sure is there'll be enough of those to dig out. Thing is, they'll keep re-sprouting out of the ground just like potato plants do, so it'll be terribly hard to eradicate this Madeira vine from this area. In which case, I may just put a sheep fence around it, and if they taste any good, and even if they don't taste terribly good, just keep digging the bastards out of the ground and keep eating them. Makes sense, eh? As opposed to trying to plant potatoes. Okay. Probably just see the kettle winding down there. That's a cheap-ass one, because I got 32 packs of it. Turns out they've gone and texted out, and in one case even spray-painted out the name on the side of it. And turns out on the sachets they got real small letters, and it's one of the brands for a major supermarket chain. Turns out it's out of date. I think it's out of... no. have another look. A lot of this stuff is... Oh, there goes some biscuits. Yeah, 11th day of the 12th month, 2015, and I just broke me troll cookies that I've got to eat under the bridge. And I've got this other stuff here. There's only 2 sachets of this, and that's used by January 2017. And this is the high-end stuff. I got this from a different shop. It's actually like bloody slow-cooked vegetables in a blooming sachet that's much the same as the MRE sachets, except probably only 1/5, 1/6 the size. Now that is real deal. That's actually real veggies in there. That's what you call good stuff, as opposed to big blast of pumpkin flour or something along those lines. Probably with a few flavourings and a shitload of salt. Anyway, shocked at how fast these are going. Have a look at that. You know, we're under our second lot of true leaves. Same with that one there. These spinach, you know, some of them are obviously planted a bit later, so they're not quite up to it as much at all with some of them, but some of the earlier ones, like here's my best one yet, they're flipping going gangbusters. Now, I've been around with all these trying to kill all the bugs on them. Hasn't been such a good run with them, I will admit, but then at the same token, never claimed to be an expert. I have been in the vegetable industry, but a lot of the time I was just following orders, and I wasn't doing all the little fancy fandangles that they had to do. You know, that all the inner circle, so to speak, were doing to get rid of all the bugs, but there was a lot of confidor involved. And I think that's what they generally used. That one there is, I think it's a Siberian kale. It's going best of all. I'll sort of stack the dirt up against it, the potting mix up against it, but for some reason that's just escaped all the bug bullshit. I don't know how. A few more spinach. I'm not saying that all these spinach have been 100% successful. They've been about 90% successful, because about 10% of them either I damaged the root when I was planting them, or they've been bitten off pretty shortly after they come out of the ground. But as you can see, like a lot of them, you know, have done pretty well. And still, there's one there on the end, and I think that's another one there. You might see like the 3 leaves, one of those is a bit of grass and the other one's another spinach. Some of these, as I said, I put them in and I must have been a little bit too rough on the root and killed the newly germinated seed, while other ones are the same age are just sort of soldiers on without a problem. And yeah, as I said, you know, about 10% have failed, some of those being actually eaten off, and you'll find the little stem still there. Like, you'll see it just as like a little baby one like that, and then next thing it'll be gone. But you'll look and there'll be a little stem still sticking out of the ground, indicating that something's eaten it. But that's with absolutely no pesticide, no protection, no mosquito netting, or keeping them inside a plastic or glass box to stop anything getting to them. You know, this is just germinated seed jammed in a pot and plonked outside. You know, and that's done pretty well, actually, to do as good as it has done. I suspect a very low number of predators, unlike the old white cabbage moth. That's probably the worst of the bloody lot. I can't say if some of these will survive or not. I should get on and try and drape mesh over and all that sort of stuff, but then I'd have to sort of get something high enough to be able to drape the mesh over without the mesh then snapping the stems off when it starts blowing in the wind. I know, bit of a bust up of an idea, isn't it? I just have to keep squashing these little grubs, but yeah, I've got more spinach already germinating over the last 2 days, and at some point I'll be planting that out into those pots, as I was saying, and maybe even refilling the odd one of these pots that didn't sort of, sort of come fully to fruition. Yeah, I might as well tell you I've got a bit of an idea to do with a heated hothouse thing, not the big bastard, but just a little miniature one, so that I can spread a bunch of stuff that will be a combination of, I can make one now and just make it sort of a, mosquito netting at the top of a box, like a box with mosquito netting over it, and try and sprout some more of those broccoli and get them up to a decent size. But I do want one that has a glass top that is, just picking up some rubbish here, that is going to be able to be heated. And I've thought of a miniature one. I've got this little 10-pound gas bottle that's basically fucked, that I want to try and convert into a wood stove and use the same sort of an idea that I had with the bigger one. It's alright to say, why don't you build the bigger one in the winter? Oh, nothing seems to work. The bloody, it's too cold to dry the glue properly and all these other things, and constant rain. It's you're fighting an uphill battle, as opposed to something that I could possibly build inside, like literally in my bedroom, and take outside. And yeah, use the 10-pound propane bottle, convert it into a little wood heater with all these bricks as thermal mass, and that's not actually sand, that's just old mortar that's turned to shit, and there's a whole bunch of bricks under here, and plenty of them above ground already, that I could use to hold a thermal mass, which would be on the underside of this box, which would have a glass top, and maybe an open and closable mosquito mesh air inlets and stuff like that. If I do need any fan circulation of any kind, I was going, oh, you could do a Peltier one, blah, 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 blah. And then I realised I got the little cardboard house battery sitting there, and the 40-watt panel against that thing. I've also got the semi-flexible 20-watt panel still available. Yeah, that's got a charge controller and all that, cigarette lighter plug. All I got to do is just rig that up appropriately, and I could use that to run the fan. Like an air circulation fan, which wouldn't need to be a big one. I can get these tiny little fart ones. I've actually got one for my laptop that's... You might have seen those things where instead of having a laptop sitting on your bed or on a blanket and it doesn't have enough air vents for it, my old laptop used to get pretty hot during the summer, and that, being a larger laptop, had the fans in it, and as a lot of the older ones do, and the larger ones still do. And I got this thing which is basically, it's only $10. It's like a plastic frame with a little bit of this aluminium mesh or something, steel mesh, very fine mesh that you sit your laptop on with a fan underneath that's USB powered. That fan is half a watt. And I know of other little tiny fans for processors and stuff like that are 3 watts. You're going to get that sort of power without a problem through a 20-watt panel, through a 40-watt panel, run off that little battery. It's a 26 amp hour one for the cardboard house. So if any air circulation need to occur, I'd probably just use that instead of farting around with Peltiers and all this sort of thing. Anyway, just a few ideas I've had. I've sort of canned the idea of doing it inside all this, basically, because it's like even the, what's his name is in there, Lemon Centre Verbena, they're all sort of running to the light, and same with all the little spinach here, they're all just going real stalky and stupid, and it's just, even with it right up against clear plastic, it's still not really cutting it, you know, and there's, yeah. So I'm going to have to do something quite literally out the front near the solar panels. I mean, that's literally how it's going to have to be. I'm swirling a few ideas around about a miniature one of them, and instead of trying to, you know, I might have to put the lemon centre verbena in it anyway, but instead of trying to grow everything inside a pot, stick to growing it inside propagation trays. And therefore, you can get these seedlings up but not have to build a massive big conundrum to do so. But long story short, I still intend to turn that into a hothouse anyway. Maybe not a heated one, but still some form of a hothouse, so that I can, you know, drag out things as long as possible into the autumn and give things a bit more of a head start, you know, for the spring and whatnot. And, you know, in the spring, no issues with power coming in, and I may very well just go and run a lead from the quad adapter inside where the inverter is and my second battery is inside that box, straight out and across to that place and to, you know, that hothouse there once it's finished, and have, you know, maybe 3 of these heat mats running, you know, just to help with the last frost you tend to get in spring or whatever. You know, I'll definitely do something with it anyway, because it's just a waste of a decent structure if I don't do something with it.